Whoa! Hanging out with my buddy Ken Haas here in the Wildwood Lair. We're having fun with these Pete Anderson, glorious instruments. This is a new color on this one too, right?
Satin deep sea blue.
Look at that, man.
Yeah, man.
That is dead sexy. This guitar plays magnificently. Give us a little history about, because obviously Pete's known as being kind of a more of a traditional solid body guy.
Right.
And this is a whole new different kind of beast. And you were describing to me this little L bracing thing that's in here and all kinds of cool stuff. Why don't you
all kinds of cool stuff. Well, Pete is having a great time pursuing a kick-ass blues career at the moment.
He's killer. I love him.
His band is crushing, and the show is, magnificent. I think he's going to be on the road with a new record and the band in 2016.
Excellent.
Pete's become really comfortable playing blues in clubs. He's a natural. He's an East Detroit boy.
Yep.
And that it sounds like such a weird cliche but whatever, but that sort of working man attitude just comes off the dude in droves. You know what I mean? And his shows are a blast. So go.
Yes. We should also mention for people that don't know, he was the guy behind all those great Dwight Yoakam tunes.
He was
back in the day.
And we do a Hollowbody thing with him too, which we're going to talk about after we talk about these, and it's in this menu over here. Not you, over here.
I like to think of myself as a menu.
So, Pete. Back to Pete.
Back to Pete, not the menu.
Pete heard about Naylor's reputation through mutual friends and reached out to us with just like one of those great phone call moments. And it's funny because I had a similar experience with Reeves Gabrels. Mm-hmm. I'm minding my own business in the office one day, phone rings. Hi. It's Pete Anderson. I was wondering, would you guys be interested in working with me on a guitar? Hey, Naylor, what do you think about working with Anderson on a guitar? Yeah, that's done. What are you thinking? Right, yeah, that was hard. So we got together at a NAMM show back when they were in Austin, Texas in the summertime. And Pete had some drawings and had an idea for a Hollowbody. And at the time, he was playing a very highly modified model from another brand.
Right. Well,
and
shall remain nameless.
And his guitar was cool, but he really did a lot of stuff to it to get the sound out of it he wanted. And so he and Joe started collaborating on doing a Reverend Pete Anderson signature model guitar. And we actually launched the original version of that instrument back in 2008. And it's on this platform, just with dog ear P90 covers and a rosewood board. Okay. And Pete's a big P90 guy.
Yeah.
And Reverend is a big P90 company. We do a lot of P90 guitars.
P90s are glorious.
You can't argue with it, that's for sure. So in order to have a Hollowbody respond the way Pete was looking for, when Reverend sets out to do a signature model with an artist, and it doesn't matter who that artist is, whether it's, a well-known guy like a Pete Anderson or a Billy Corgan or something to that effect, our goal is not to go, here's one of our guitars, we're going to put your name on it.
Got it. Yep.
Our idea behind that is we're going to make the guitar that you play. And if people want to buy it and your fans want to buy it and it resonates with other people, that's cool. But like Ron Ashton and the Stooges getting their gear stolen. It's real easy for us to get him another guitar because he is playing the model that we're making for him, right? So that idea, we sat down to do this, and with Joe having sort of a blank page. He had some ideas of his own on how to make the better Hollowbody, okay? And Joe's ideas jived with what Pete wanted to do. So the two of them, Pete was able to take Joe's idea for this and then run with it like he has been for the last 8 years. The main difference between this and most guitars of its ilk are, my buttons off of this guitar, what am I thinking? At Reverend, we use Korina for the bodywood on everything that we make. And as a result, our set neck guitars have 3-piece Korina necks, which you can see, and that's just a durability issue. Having the laminated layers makes great stability in a neck, right? And strengthens your headstock joint in the whole shot. So this is on this satin violin brown version, we have flame maple back and sides.
Yummy!
Oh, yeah. And a spruce top. And the spruce top will give it like a sort of a zing, you know? Out of the neck joint comes a 3/4 inch or so wide block of Korina that runs just along the top of the pickups and does an L under the bridge. And that block goes all the way through to the back of the guitar.
Okay.
So there's a sort of a stabilizing thing there. The neat thing is that we can actually hard mount the bridge onto the body. So you don't have the intonation issues from having the bridge floating around, and you get a little stronger initial attack. So if you're, copping a telly lick on the Hollowbody, you're good to go, right? Can I say that?
You can.
Okay, cool. And then
talk a little bit about that Bigsby, because it works fantastically.
I'm so happy to be mentioning Reeves Gabrel's again in talking about the Pete Anderson signature model, because Pete and Reeves are buddies.
Oh, cool.
And they have a fun rivalry within our company. We have sort of Pete versus Reeves versus Pete thing going on at all times.
Guitar fight.
Yes. Reeves likes Bigsby's as well, and on a model that we make for him called the Space Hawk, he wanted to be able to cop sort of
those warbly things.
Yeah. That. Yes. And so he was experimenting with springs, and it springs from old motorcycle, like Triumph motorcycle carburetors, and just all this. He was getting all these wacky springs from places and giving them to us, and like, I want it to feel like this. I want it to feel like this. Well, we kind of settled on something, and then universally, everybody loves it. Like it's become every Bigsby guitar that we ship, we slap the spring in, including these, and it's just. And it's not so much a tuning thing as it's just all jiggly and good feeling. You know
soft and warm and juicy.
Hence, soft touch spring.
That's what it's called?
Yeah, that's what it's called.
Soft touch?
The soft touch spring.
I like it.
So we have the thing going with the Bigsby, right? And having the black go all the way through the body sort of prevents the air movement that causes the howl in a Hollowbody. And I'm not... I'm not going to be pompous enough to sit here and be like, this guitar doesn't feed back.
Right.
Because this guitar feeds. I mean, if you stand in front of a Marshall stack, it's going to feed back, obviously. But it has a higher feedback threshold than most guitars of its ilk.
Yes.
So we have been making a fantastic P90 version of this guitar, which in 2 of the last 8 years was the #1 selling guitar on the line.
Excellent.
A few years ago, we introduced a version of this guitar with our Revtron pickups, which we're going to get into a little bit later on today, which are sort of lower output humbuckers, lower output Alnico humbuckers. They're really cool, which is kind of traditional for this body style. And then a few years ago, we launched a humbucker version of this instrument with a hardtail on it. And it sounded so good. But we missed the Bigsby. Everybody missed the Bigsby.
Sure.
And the trapeze was neat, but nothing is as cool as a Bigsby. And so this year, Reverend has decided to bring back the humbucker version of the guitar with the Bigsby. For the humbucker version, ebony fretboard, bound headstock, giving it that extra little bit of class.
Yes.
And these pickups are Reverend's Classic H humbucker, and they're sort of a lower output
Yeah.
Allen-Co magnet. They're different from the pickups that we use in our solid bodies. They're more tempered for this guitar,
Sure.
I guess. But the thing that I love about this guitar, because like I'm a rock dude from way back.
Rocksman?
Yes. Not only can you copy your rockabilly licks on this guitar, and you can copy your Wes Montgomery licks on this guitar and all those things that I hear you playing, but this guitar will do a killer Nugent plugged into a Marshall. Like killer. It's just awesome sounding.
I like the sound of
feedback,
it.
sustain, and all of that good stuff. So, I mean, this thing really has a lot to offer. And then, so we had to do it in blue, because
This blue is ridiculous.
Blue sounds good.
It's as I like to say, they're good tone hues. A tone hue of doom.
Tonal hue.
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
And I would describe this as somewhere between, in the traditional scheme, Taos turquoise and Pelham blue. It's kind of right in betwixt there.
Yes, we call that deep sea blue.
Deep sea blue.
Yes.
Deep. Under the crust of the ocean, you will find a tone hue lurking.
I love the way it looks next to the ebony. I mean, even
It's
just
glorious.
sitting here, like, I was telling the Wildwood crew, because Steve from Wildwood was telling me before we started filming this thing how they get new guitars in here all the time, right? And he never gets tired of opening the boxes and seeing what
Right.
they're getting in.
New treats.
You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, you know, and you know you've got the right job when you can come to work every day and have something like that. And we're no different at Reverend. I mean, I knew what this was going to look like, you know, yet when you see the first one, you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and this guitar, I was very dangerously close to not coming here, because when I laid eyes on that, I'm
Really?
like, oh, I will have one of those for my personal enjoyment.
It'll be number
And-
126.
Yeah, I don't even want to send this one away. I want it to be this one. They're just, these Anderson guitars are just tone machines.
Let's talk a little bit about, I was commenting that it really sounds good when you turn the volume down. You don't lose any highs, and it's, And then we can take away.
Yes. All of the guitars except the Eastsider series feature volume tone and then what we call a bass contour control. There is a gadget on the volume control that preserves that high-end chimey thing that you're talking about as you roll it down.
Yeah.
And this is something that Naylor's been on since the
the
very
beginning of
beginning.
time. Yeah.
I mean, that's one of his trademark things. And the bass contour control kind of came about in a really cool way. I'm really happy to again be talking about Ron Ashton in the demo video of Pete Anderson's guitar. But Ronnie traditionally played Strats,
Okay.
but loved Vs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he just thought they were the coolest. Like, who's cooler than a dude rocking a V? You know what I mean? So, but one of his things was, even when we started building guitars for him, we started doing the Korina body guitars, and he was playing some of our older guitars before that even. Even a guitar with 3 single boils was a little bright for Ronnie.
Okay.
Was a little dark for Ronnie. Excuse
Oh,
me.
okay.
The total opposite. If you think about that Stooges tone, you think about that, you know what I mean, right?
Razor blades and hand
Yeah,
grenades.
man. Oh, the best. The best when done properly.
Yes.
And in that guy's hands, it was sweet. So Joe initially sort of devised this bass contour circuit to just pull some low frequencies from Ron's guitars.
So it's not actually a dB subtraction or boost. It's like when it's up, it's full on pickup.
Yeah, when the bass contour is all the way on, as it is here, that is what the neck pickup sounds like.
Get all up. Okay.
Everything's up. So if you were to have no controls, that's what you would get.
Okay.
As you back off the bass contour, you adjust the low frequencies. So here's about halfway. And then here's all the way.
yeah.
And there's a little bit of signal loss because you're removing, you know, if your signal is this big, as you start adjusting those bass frequencies, you're pulling out some of the low frequencies, right? So you get a little signal drop.
Sure.
But nothing like you do with like a coil tap.
Right.
Right?
Sure, exactly.
And then with a coil tap, you take a really great sounding pickup and just make it sound less.
Anemic.
Less,
Yeah.
right? And the other thing is, both coils are still on.
Right.
So I mean, you're still humbucking even with that control all the way off. You haven't changed the property of the pickup. You've just changed the output of the guitar.
And of course, the methodologies. A lot of those early humbuckers that we knew, they were very underwound and very glassy sounding.
Yes, indeed.
And then as time went on and people wanted to rock like pagan warlords, they began to get overwhelmed.
Pagan warlord.
But yes, this sounds really good.
See how good that sounds when Greg Koch plays it?
And it stays in tune with that doggone Bigsby.
Well, I mean, that's other... As I discussed before, the time that we take with the instruments at our shop in the Detroit-Toledo area, I mean, one of the things that we pay very careful attention to is the nut slots, because there's a trick to it.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to get all proprietary here. I'm not going to give it away.
But it works.
But we know when you have a headstock that's got a little bit of spread to the strings, there's ways that you can dress the nut that makes sure that string goes back and forth smoothly when you're using the trem. And then all Reverend guitars feature Reverend's pin lock tuners. And once you've used pin lock tuners on something,
never return.
I get a guitar without locking tuners, and I'm like,
What is this?
How's somebody supposed to string this?
What is this flat world technology?
Because you go, tink, boom, tune,
Right.
done. You know, and then it helps with all of that, you know. I mean, trem guitars and non-trem guitars alike. If you're a big bender, you know, and I know you're a big bender.
Hey, big bender!
No, do that again. Big benders. Yeah, the rock aspect.
Sorry. Went a little Detroit on you.
Quick, play some jazz. Real quick, just to... We didn't mean to offend anybody with the Hollowbody ruckus.
You know what? You gotta let the good times roll. 24 and damn 7.
So, Greg, why don't you tell us where you can find these guitars?
Wildwood Guitars, beautiful Louisville, Colorado. And if you go on the thing called the internet,
Interwebs.
it has pictures of all the different guitars, and there will be videos that we will do of each individual guitar. So you can hear, although with these guitars, the consistency will be such that there will hopefully be very little difference between the different models. But you can hear it, smell it. Well, actually, we do not have the scratch and sniff technology as of yet, but we're working on it. In conjunction with Reverend, part of that forward vision, I think.
Why don't you tell me what the serial number that you have on that guitar is?
That's a good idea. This one is Proto.
Oh, look at that.
Looky
So's
here.
this one.
Proto.
Proto 22506.
This one is Proto 22505.
These were the color test models, and these colors passed.
Indeed, they did.
Indeed, they passed with flying.
Well,
Yeah.
we don't have to say it.
No.
Well, listen, Joe. I called you Joe.
It happens all the time. It happens that happens at the NAMM show all the time. People come up and they're like, "You're Joe, right?" And for a while there, I was just saying yes, and I'd point to Joe and be like, "That's Ken." Why? I mean,
I'm here with Kenny Joe, here in the dark lair. of the Wildwood bosom. I mean, of the bosom of the Wildwood lair. Now listen, we're having a good time today with these glorious Reverend guitars from the Detroit/Toledo area. Emphasis on the Toledo as OT 16 approaches.
Yes.
And stay tuned. The Pete Anderson model, glorious weapon, but there's more Pete Anderson models and a host of other new glorious renderings for OT 16. Stay tuned!